Hi guys, it's me Karen, and I'm going to show you how I did the birthday card not too long ago, and I'll put a picture right there. Okay, and then what it is I made a piece of, this is cardstock, regular cardstock, and I cut it to 4 inches by 6 inches. It's folded in half, so it's actually 6 inches by 8 with a crease down the center. So it's just regular cardstock. And then what I did was took a piece of black, because it's going to be the background, and cut it to fit exactly on top of that. Then I will be doing all of the inking on this piece, which is going to be cut down to a tiny bit shorter. But I'm going to ink it as a whole piece. Then what I do is I'm going to ink this in a different color, stamp a sentiment on here, and then background it, or put this on the background, and I'm going to hand cut out the top of the lettering like you saw in the picture. So this will be the basic card. This is going to be cut so there's a tiny black border around it. If you can see that, very tiny, but it's going to be there. And that will be the same on this card. It'll be a tiny bit of black and a little bit bigger down here, so it makes a kind of a stripage. Okay, and I promised the person I was showing this card to that I would go ahead and talk through the whole thing. So we're going to start off inking the background, and I inked the background in 2 tones of brown. So I used this Memento. It's rich cocoa. It's a very dark color, and I did the edging around that. And then we will be using this one, which is a distress ink, and I believe this is the vintage photo one. And the sentiment part here is going to be done in this Cottage Ivy Memento ink. Now, I was experimenting with these inks when I did the first original card, and I put this ink down on the card base, and I thought it was too dark, but I put it on there anyway, and then I had to go back in and cover it with some of this, because when I added water, this base is kind of a pink color, and I was giving it to a guy, and I didn't like the pink that came through, so I went ahead and covered it up with this ink. So I will show you what I did. So I just use a Tim Holtz tool, and this one happens to be the round one. It also comes in a square or rectangle, and I just ink it up. And I do have glass on this table, so I can work with it like that, and then I just angle this and lightly touch the paper. You can see it's kind of a dark color, and I just bring the color in. I am going to be spritzing this with water, so I don't care if this isn't very smooth with the coloring, because the water droplets are going to take away some of the ink. So I did that to the bottom, and then I did it to the top. Because I'm laying something here, I'm not going to waste ink and ink the center of the page. I'm just going to ink the bottom and the top. Maybe a tiny bit on the side in case. That's a nice dark color. I like the edges really dark. I'm also going to be using a stamp and stamping on top of this. So, okay, we'll add that much color in. Then I'm going to go ahead and add some of the distress ink on top of it. Give it a darker look. Okay, so there we go with that. I want it kind of dark because I'm going to put black on it, and I want it kind of to blend. So there are those 2 colors. what I'm going to do, I just have a spray bottle, and I'm going to lightly spray both ends. Let it sit and dry and see how it reacts. And then we just wipe it up. And you get this really cool splattering effect on both sides. So we're going to let that dry. Then we're going to work on the next piece. I'm not going to ink it first. What I'm going to do is get out my Misty. And I'm going to get out the stamp set that I used. And it's Mama Elephant, and it's this happy that I'm going to be using here. So I'll be stamping the happy up at the top, and this tiny little birthday here is going to go under it. But that's going to be done in black ink later. This one's going to get embossed, so I'm going to put it on black first. So we'll put this in here. Make it nice and snug. Put the happy. I'll be cutting it out. So I kind of want it straight, but I need a little spacing at the top. And I'm pretty sure that's straight. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use the Memento Tuxedo Black and stamp that on there. What's nice about the Misty is if I don't quite get a perfect coverage, I can re-stamp it. So down it goes. That's pretty good. I'm going to make it a little darker and put a little more on there just in case. I'm going to be using a Ranger product to stamp or to emboss this with. Okay. We're leaving it in here because now I have to use the Versamark to get it sticky. Okay, so what I'm going to use is this stuff here, and it's Ultra Thick Embossing Enamel, and you kind of have to do this in a couple coats. So I'll put the Versamark on, re-stamp, sprinkle this on, and I'll probably have to do that 3 or 4 times for the effect I'm trying to get. So I have to get my tool out for the heat embossing. Hold on a second. Okay, so I've got the Versamark, and I will stamp this. And I'll stamp over the black. Okay, we'll remove that. Piece of paper to catch the extra. And then sprinkle this on. Okay, the fun thing about this, if I can get it to do it right, so I'll put a little extra on there. This is normally not something you want to do because it will show and keep the ink from touching, but I kind of liked the effect that it had. I am also going to use my heating tool bottom side, and I don't know if I can have enough room here to do this, so I'm just going to take it over to the edge here, and I'm going to heat it from underneath the paper so it doesn't blow everything off. So it'll start to get the heating done on it. Okay, while it's still a little wet, I'm going to add a little more. And it'll fall into the places it didn't get it the first time. Okay, so take 2 coats this time, and if you can see how shiny that is and how thick it is. And then I have some little specking going on from the little sprinkles I put on. You'll see what the effect does when I'm inking on that. So that piece is done. I'll put this stuff back. Okay. Back to the inking. I'm going to go ahead and cut it out first. I am just going to cut the top part, kind of leaving a little space so it kind of looks like a die cutting, but I'm hoping I can get it so you can see it and I can see it to cut. These scissors are, I believe, cutter bee scissors. They're very sharp and very nice to use to do this. Fussy cutting, I guess is what they call it. And that piece. So there we have our happy part. I'll be doing the same thing when I put it on here, and I'll just fussy cut around the edges. Okay, we're going to ink it first, and we were going to ink it in this green, which is a nice dark green. And you should see where it's not going to pick up the color is on the little dots that I had left. Gives a little more dimension. And there we go. And I'm going to make that stand out more by, of course, putting the water on it. Waiting a few seconds for it to do its thing. And then we just wipe it up. Giving us that effect here. And I'm going to go ahead and dry that with the heat gun here. Okay. Now, I'm going to use, let's see if I put this down on the papers. Go that way. Yep, we'll go this way. I'll be cutting it down to size. So I'm going to go ahead and glue it on like that. Not quite dry there. It's got to be dry for the glue. Okay. Then I just use art glitter glue here to glue my pieces together. Just add glue around the edges. It dries clear, which is really nice. Oh boy, stuck a little. That's okay. Melted a bit. There we go. Oh boy, just turn it over. Glue it down, leaving enough room at the top and on the sides there a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and fussy cut around the black. Same way, leaving a little space. I'm really hoping you can see this. Get a little more glue under there. So we have that. Let's stick a tiny bit of glue under here because it doesn't seem to be holding. There we go. Alright, so that is the look I got doing that. I'm going to take it over and I'm going to cut a little border on the bottom, and I'll be right back. Okay, what we're going to do is get out the stamp set I use, and it's the Steampunk from Hot Off the Press, and I'm going to use this stamp and this one here. For the first, for the card, it's the bigger one. And we're going to just stamp it in the black. Yep, I got this in the brown. That'd probably look good too, but got a boo-boo and I do not want to print it in that, so I'll just stamp it off. Do it in black. I was wondering why it didn't look so dark. At least I caught it before I did it. Wouldn't have looked bad though. Okay, I'm going to stamp it off the paper, so I'm going to put one here. And only a few of that will get on there. The rest of that's going to get on my desk. And I just wipe it off so it doesn't go on the back of the card. And see the ink that didn't go on there. And I'm just going to ink it up again. And do it over this side here. And try to make it so it doesn't look the same. So we'll go that way. Different corner, and then I did some on the bottom there, and then we'll just ink this corner there. Now we got the inking on that piece, and then on this piece I did the little one. So add a little interest to it. So we just stick one right there. And I have to put the birthday stamp on there. And that over here. And it's just going to go down, hopefully straight so you can read it. And then all it is putting the card together, and I use, it says double back tape. I am pretty sure I got this at Daiso, but I could be wrong. So I just cut off pieces. This will also help it lay down flat on the card, but give it some dimension. Just put a couple in here. One has to go up the H, and then just a little piece here, and one up on this side. Okay, it's going to go on this base here. Rid of those pieces. Come on, off you go. Okay, then we're just going to set it down, keeping it straight. And that rises it up. I'm also going to darken these edges just a little bit. I think they need to be a tiny bit darker. There we go. I like how the green turned out. And like I said, I just put the black paper on here. Another fun thing I did on the card is I went ahead and I took the stamp that I had, and I did the same as I did on the front. I inked it up and then just inked it off the edge on the inside. And I see I have it all over my hand and I have a smudge there. And what I'll do is I'll fold the card, put some more ink on here, and just ink it on top of that smudge. And then you'll never know it's there. Now, obviously I'm smudging everywhere here because I have it all over my hands, which is just a part of doing stuff. But when I stamp or write in here, I can always use a little bit of the, my favorite little stamp here, and just add some speckles on purpose, and that will cover up any of my little boo-boos. That's light enough to where it looks good. All right, I could also ink in here if I wanted to, at least a little bit down here on the bottom. And then maybe a little up here at the top. And that would be the inside. Okay. Now on the outside. We are just going to glue this down with some glue. Liquid glue will give me enough time to move it around if I need to. There we go. So we want a little black showing all the way around the card. So there we go. Now if you notice, it's a tiny little bit of white showing here. If that bothers you, just take your black ink and run it on the edge. And it covers it right up. So there you go. That is the card I made. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye now.